My name is Xochitl Leon, and I'm the chair of the California's Board of Accountancy Enforcement Program Oversight Committee, and I'd like to call our meeting to order. Let's start with roll call.
Sunny Youngson Park.
Katrina Salazar.
Kathleen Wright.
Thank you. I think we have quorum. All right, so let's start with item number 1, approval of the minutes of January 26th, 2017. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments? Any comments from the public? Hearing none, I think we have a motion. All right, moving on. Oh, can we call for the vote? Sorry.
Xochitl Leon,
Yes.
Sunny Park,
I wasn't here in January, so
Abstain.
okay, I abstain.
Katrina Salazar,
Yes.
and Kathleen Wright.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. All right, moving on to item number 2 on the discussion regarding the newly developed California Board of Accountancy Enforcement Handbook for certified public account licensure applicants. We're going to have Mr. Francella begin by giving us an update.
Thank you. Good morning. So the purpose of this item is to provide the CBA the opportunity to review and provide feedback on the newly developed enforcement handbook for CPA licensure applicants. Members may recall at the end of last year, staff actually developed a similar handbook for the enforcement process that was focused on licensees. This handbook was developed to provide applicants with an understanding of what to expect regarding the CBA's enforcement process. And the handbook covers conviction history and reportable events, enforcement referrals, the denial of a license, probation, and various miscellaneous information such as address of record, bilingual services, and various public document policies. So the CBA is being asked to review the handbook and provide input and feedback, and staff will incorporate this into the handbook and post it to the CBA website and provide information in a future update publication. We did receive some feedback already from DCA Legal Counsel, which will be incorporated into the handbook, and we're seeking any additional feedback that members may have. So at this time, I would like to turn discussion on the topic back over to the chair, and I'd be happy to answer any questions members may have.
So I want to open it up for discussion to see if there are any observations or feedback to make this enforcement booklet more powerful for our consumers.
Dominic, could you summarize briefly the changes between the existing handbook and what we're looking at here?
So there isn't an existing handbook for this.
Okay.
This is the first
Time we've done it?
first time we've done it. The difference between the handbook that was reviewed in November was the focus was the licensees. So it focused on what their requirements were. This one focuses on applicants and to understand the process should they have a conviction or some other type of event that they would have to report to us at the time of application, what the process is in terms of how the referral occurs, what would happen if we denied the license, what happens if you're placed on probation after that denial, and subsequent issuance of a license, and then just miscellaneous information to be aware of during the enforcement process.
Would these handbooks or this handbooks, which is addressed to a specific audience, be part of the application package that is mailed or distributed to the individual who is applying for a license, or would they have to go to the website and find it and read it?
Most people, I think the vast majority of people download all the information from the website. I don't believe we get too many calls for mailed out applications anymore. So,
No, but if
but it
someone-
will be available on the website. And if somebody were to ask, we would be able to provide that to them.
I have two suggestions. On page 4, Mr. Francella, as I was going through it, there's a reference to CBA Regulation Section 99 for readers to go and check out this section that provides, I guess, the guidelines and criteria in determining prior conviction. I don't know how succinct that guideline is, but it would be nice if there was a reference here, or I don't know how easily accessible it is from the website as well, but just so that the readers can get a sense of the guidelines here that you're looking at. So that was one observation. And then the second one, it's a minor comment on page 7 around the, how long the enforcement actions are on the website. I believe from prior discussions, the enforcement actions are indefinitely posted on the website. So I don't know if it would help to include the length or just the explanation that they're going to be up indefinitely on the website.
Yeah, and if we do this change here, we'll make the same change to the, because the language here is the same that's found in the licensee one, so whatever changes to that section, we'll make to the other one as well.
Any other comments? Yes.
I was just going to mention that on your first comment regarding the regulations section,
Yes.
in the handbook, they'll actually be able to link. Just
Okay.
click on that and it'll take them to that section so they can read through it.
Okay.
So most of the things that are underlined, if not all of them.
They're links.
They're
They're
links,
links.
so they
Okay.
can toggle back and forth.
Awesome. I had the hard copy. Any other comments? Yes.
Just as a clarification, and maybe I should know this, but I don't, in the handbook, it does say that if a criminal conviction has been expunged, that it is still required to be reported. I agree with that as a general sense, but I didn't think that was allowable.
Yeah, they're under section 1204, I believe. They're still required to report those. Anything that's expunged under that section is still required to be reported. There is a code section that exists where they don't have to report it. If a case where, I don't remember the particular code section that is, they only have to report it if they're seeking a law enforcement position or some type of public safety.
Right.
But most expungements occur under the government codes, or I don't know if it's government code section or whatever's expunged under 120.4 is still reportable, but the board can't necessarily take it into consideration by itself for the denial of an application if it's been expunged, and they can provide documentation.
Okay. I'm not quite sure I followed that, but that's okay.
So I guess succinctly, yes, they still have to report it.
Any other comments? Yes.
Okay, so Business and Professions Code Section 480 is the authority for denial of a license based on a conviction. Under the law, an expunged conviction is still a conviction. So the fact that you were convicted does not have anything to do with whether it was later set aside by a court. For licensing purposes, the law says it still has to be reported. Even if it's a no contest plea agreement, that has to be reported. The question then is, what type of conviction is it, and can it be used? So there's certain types of convictions, and there was a list, and I can't find it, maybe Dominic can find it. There's certain marijuana convictions that, and juvenile, actually are not convictions, so they should not be reported. And then, so it's indicated on the application and in the handbook here, I can't remember what page it's on. There's a list of certain types of convictions that are not reportable because we cannot take action based on juvenile arrests or on certain drug convictions. In addition, after the review is done, there are certain convictions that if they're only those convictions, that the board can't just use as the sole basis for the denial. There has to be other allegations included in the application that would give rise to a denial. So, I'm sorry, I think, oh, it's page 3. Sorry about that. Page 3.
In the middle?
At the top, minor, oh, here we go. Minor traffic violations that were adjudicated and convictions that were adjudicated in the juvenile court or convictions, so it's at the top of the page, under these health and safety code sections, which are 2 years old or older, need not be reported. In addition, minor traffic violations under 1,000, non-involving drugs or alcohol, should not be reported. A lot of people don't understand that a traffic violation is a low-level infraction, which is a conviction. So it's, very rarely used, but it is still reportable. So it's important to make sure it's detailed so that nobody inadvertently doesn't provide complete and accurate information, which could warrant a denial for dishonesty. So, I hope that was clearer.
No, yes, well, I've seen this more than once with students.
Yeah, a lot of people think that if it's expunged for the criminal courts, that the licensing agencies, it's not reported to their licensing
Yeah.
agency. So it's very important, in most of the applications stress that even if you've received an expungement, you need to report it. So we state that very clearly in the application and also here in the handbook as well.
Well, the other general perception is that any conviction, whether expunged or not, would result in a denial of the application. That's the question that I get, is can I even apply? And this clarifies that yes, you can apply.
Right.
Whether or not you get a license is another question, but you certainly can apply.
Correct. It's not an automatic disqualifier. There's no authority for that.
Any other discussion? Yes, Mrs. Salazar.
I think maybe this is just a comment, and one, I'd like to say thank you for the work the staff has done to pull this together. I think that this is a nice piece of material, and I'm glad to see that it's being pulled together. The comments that, the discussion that we've had so far has reminded me that even as we work through these issues, sometimes even our organization, our leaders will find time to ask clarifying questions. Would it be helpful, or would it be worth considering maybe something in here that says, if you still have questions, please call?
Reach out.
There are a lot of phone numbers here, but maybe specific to the substantially related comment, because I can envision potentially a candidate for licensure clicking on the link and maybe still having questions. So that might be my only comment, is for staff to consider if there is a way to incorporate a very generic comment, because I do want our applicants and our licensees to feel they can reach out and speak with someone from the board if they are unsure of how to interpret it. I'd rather have them feel confident and submit materials that they understand.
We'll find a place.
Hearing no other comments, I think we're ready to move on to item number 3 on the agenda. Thank you so much, Mr. Fontella.
You're welcome.
Do we have any public comments? Hearing none, we're moving on to item number 4. Do we have any topics for our next meeting? Okay. Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.